say, like I just like the word earlier said by Professor Dinesh Singh. I just take a cue from there. And when you talk about education is nothing but a personal journey to self-discovery, that is a great idea. That saying, I mean, of course, many people have said. And education, even if you look at the NEP or NEP 2020, there are 3 keywords mentioned there in introduction part, and which talks about our, I mean, the whole idea we are talking here, especially to looking at the education system based on our Indian ethos, and which can contribute us to transform India and being the knowledge superpower in the world. So this is a very enthusiastic, very, I mean, you can say great leap and great opportunity as well as great challenge. I mean, so huge things has to be done. There are a lot of stakeholders. We heard many 10 lakh teachers we are short of. And our schools, we have all type of schools. I come from a village, and last year I just visited my village, and I just saw the school, what kind of a school, and that school which I have gone. And I was amazed what was there in 1970s when I used to go. Now it has become only most of the teachers busy in providing foods to the kids. So, I mean, out of the 8 teachers, 3 teachers' duty was just to share food and all, taking those responsibility. Anyway, I can understand the kind of things, I mean, so we need to streamline. This is a very high time. So that's why this is the very great step, very radical, very revolutionizing step taken by the government right now. I mean, I will say it is happening since 2015, then 2019, the draft came, and finally the report came. So there is a huge, I mean, we all know human capital is very important and nothing can be achieved. So we are living in a very, I mean, different kind of era, called knowledge era. And where skill and competencies are becoming relevant by a drop of hat. So what are the shelf life of the skill and even knowledge, I can't say, but competency. So what we know today, tomorrow it is not going to be relevant. So of course the challenges are huge worldwide because the rule of the game is changing very fast. We are living in a business environment, a business society, which is changing very fast. So this is also reality. So education has to go with your overall ecosystem. We can't say education itself. So education, or we talk about health or anything, I mean, for any society, I mean, education is the backbone of any society. Like I say, it is at the same time, it is very important to have re-evaluation, continuous benchmarking, and identifying it as a vehicle of providing true quality of life, like what we are envisaging here. Most of the policy, as a student, when I was there, I remember during my master or PhD days at BHU, we used to see, so either you talk about National Commission of Labor, you look at the Toward Security Report 1970 for Emancipation of Women, or NEP came in 1986. All these good works have been done. And believe me, I was really, I mean, happy to see that the kind of words which has been introduction, it is really, I mean, that nothing has been left, look. So if you look at any policy, you will find plenty of contradiction and all in any policy. So I'm not going to do, this is very common, right? So that is, the most important thing is the whole idea is the different stakeholder, how they are going to play up, like the question session was being talked about self-financing and the regulation, NCAAA, where we say, yeah, the NCAAA, those is colleges which have 3.4 or something out of 4, less than that, they can't do open line courses, right? They can't conduct. Now we are living in digital kind of forced environment where we don't have a choice. So, I mean, these are the anomalies which we need to rectify, right? But how we are going to do, there is a huge, all shades of things here. We have world-class institutions. And then we have a lot of challenges which I referred to you as schools, like in my village. So in that background, the NEP giving you a fresh light, right? So it came on, of course, coming very fast, July 29. I was just reading today, they are asking all these state commissions, education research, SCRT, and district level, the IITs, to go through all school principals and then teachers to conduct WhatsApp meeting or video conferencing and upload your feedback on the NEP. Within August 24 to August 31. It is today's news. I was just reading. It is very fast. We should have given a little more time. It is my feeling. But anyway, let's see how it, basically it is the flow and how things move. This is very important. But anything done in hurry is not good, which is my feeling, right? I'm not, little cautious, But at the same time, the idea which is generated here, believe me, nothing, it is not short of everything has done. So education has been, like we talk about, like India-centric education system, and we are transferring all sustainability into equitable and vibrant India, which we are talking about. And if you look at the introduction part, page 3 of this, NAP is talking about achieving all full human capital potential, developing a very equitable and just society, which we have been talked about. Promoting national development across regional balances and all we are talking about. Then at the same time, providing, it aims to provide universal access to quality education, because we have a lot of dropout rate of kids and all. So that is the key, and how we can take over that. And it also talks about all its economic growth. So of course, like education as a vehicle, social justice, scientific advancement, national integration even, and leadership on the global stage, like we talk about. We want to be superpower of the, knowledgeable society. So we want to, nobody to be none. So, we have that kind. India, in fact, page 6 talk about this policy, say, making India, I'm just quote unquote, making India a global knowledge superpower. So that's the objective of this NEP. Very, very, I can say, really, it is very aspiring, but at the same time, yeah, so we have to work hard if we want to achieve that. If we are talking making India a global knowledge superpower by 2030 or 2040, so we have to be realistic in terms of that, what steps we are doing, and what kind of infrastructure we have got. We have committed 6% of our income to that, which has been 4 point something earlier. How we are going to distribute most of the industrial country, if you look at, the elementary education, they put, and the higher education, 2:1 ratio, that is the budget. So how we are dealing? Here is the huge, the higher education is, we have cut off, in coming years. There is, I don't want to, put data here to make, I'm just providing you a basic idea what kind of context and what kind of challenges, and then I will go into creating. So like we just talked about, these are the wonderful word about NEP. I have never seen, the earlier report and all. So it talks about developing education system by 2040. Of course, it's talking about providing all kind of best education. And it talks about major reforms in terms of quality, equity, and integrity into the system. These are very key words. So quality of education, which we are talking about. And when we talk about quality, I don't know. Quality is a finish line without a race. It is a kind of race. Quality control word also being used. I just Google, I find, yeah, there is there. Control F, I put into draft. So I saw there is a quality control, accountability. That also the report is talking. The policy is talking. So quality is something which is a race against, without a finish line. So I don't know. Quality resides in mind. So what is quality or good? So what is good according to you? When I have my own good. So of course there are different regions, different states, different type of schools, right? From we know in our in India that there is a 70% higher education is in private sector. 40% schools are private sectors in India. And then we commit here in this policy that we are not going to promote, commercialization of education. Can you think of what is going? So we have put broken UGC. I am a UGC net qualified, and I have gone to those UGC. Prior Dr. Rakesh was referring when I qualified, but I qualified when early, and I had the opportunity to visit and having a good time with the, in Delhi. Like talking about regulation, accreditation, and talking about those grant promoting bodies, and then overall consents. So there are a lot of bodies which will take shape. So that time will tell. We don't know. It is very difficult. But we have to put these houses in order. Really is a big challenge. And this is great opportunity for the government and especially all educational administrators. In fact, the policy said teachers lies at the center stage of all this policy execution. I differ here. I say not teachers. It is educational administrators, policy makers, or executors. You understand? They are at the center stage of these success of these policies. They can make or break it. So it depends on how they are moving it in right direction. So that's why we're talking about how they are going to curb. Like page 48 of our policy, we talk about curbing commercialization of education. And to stop, they say key priority will be to adopt the regulatory system. They talk about light but tight. Wonderful word. They talk about in the, I'm just page 48, I'm referring. So as I can say, there is no room for profit entity. So I don't know what will happen to all business, houses who have started. I taught in Delhi in ILM, New Delhi Lodi Road, this Usha group. So all big houses jumped into creating universities. Still you find Jindal, ABB. You will find in Delhi or all over the world. So I don't know how they are going to deal with that challenges. Like I say, 70% higher education and these challenges and all. And they say it can't be run for a profit entity. So it has to be done. So that commercialization, I don't know how going to be checked, how it is going to be negotiated. But we need, of course, participation of private sector. But private sector is not a profit oriented, like what is happening in US now. If you move on a road, you have to pay $10. If you go, even the jails are privatized and all. So sometimes I used to visit my son there, and so believe me. So we used to see, we are good in India. Oh, of course, our roads are broken, but somehow we are also bringing PPP here in many sectors. That is a different issue. I'm not going into that. So we shouldn't have this. I'm happy at least the commercialization in education, we have stopped. I'm very happy. And I salute all those policy makers and to go into, unless they change or they do something, there. So I am really happy for this because education is the most important thing. So here they talk about major reform. They talk about building character, like we just talked about in the morning. Any education, like there are three keywords. They are given like Gyan, wisdom, which is very important. So your education, knowledge and wisdom, and then truth, satya. So these are three keywords used. I add fourth, which is justice, because justice is very important. Without having a good justice system, because of course satya itself is a form of justice, nyaya. But I feel, so any good system and all, that's in the commercialization, there is no room there. So that's what exactly on page 3 our report say. The education must build character. Our student is enable our learners to be ethical, very important present time. So rational, having compassion and caring. These are very loaded words. If we achieve 50% of these words, what does it mean here? Oh God, we reach somewhere else, because at the same time providing gainful and fulfill employment. I am going to focus little on that, but before that I will talk about little more about these policies and all, because they are talking in the background of the job market. We see what is happening worldwide or even in India. Of course, I'm not talking about the COVID scenario now, otherwise as well. So, it is creating people. So there is going to be prescribe less on content, more on practice, and putting people into more cognitive mode and critical solving mode. So that's the key issue, making them more multidisciplinary. All right. But of course, there is a balance of multidisciplinary. So somebody has said, in Lucknow, there is a big Kumar Barabankwi, there used to be a poet. He says in Urdu or Hindi, he says, had se badhe to ilm, had se badhe ilm. If it goes beyond limit, ilm means education. To hai jahal dosto, jahal means jahalat. To hai jahal dosto, illiteracy. सब कुछ जानते हैं वो कुछ जानते नहीं, सब कुछ जो जानते हैं. So he's a style he's talking about. So you have to make a good way. This is the Kumar style of saying master of none, jack of all trade. So multidisciplinary, yes, but we have to make a fine-tuned balance. to see how it is going to work. And then it's talking about of course changing scenario, in the labor market we are talking about how you are going to deal with all these new issues. So there is a very fancy words being used: big data, machine learning, artificial intelligence. All these words have got a space in this policy, which is wonderful, and that will create more and skills. So how we are going to digest all those, how we are going to create employment for them. And the most important thing that report will achieve, I think, to push, I think, of course it will flow, it will take time. Any report you can't say in 5 years, this kind of thing. It takes a generation to pass through. I mean, 20 years, last 20 years, I am teaching in Middle Eastern countries here, teaching Arabs, being a non-Arab. And I have earlier my 10 years, 15 years, I have been in India. I was teaching Delhi 6 years, 10 years around in India. So, I mean, I have seen, I can compare and I can see it is very small times. We can't say it will take time, which is most of the people here, like you just talking about earlier as well. So, new pedagogy is, of course, very important here, which is talking about more holistic, more experiential, putting more, like you said, talk about rather than less on content, less PG on the bag, but it is more application. But you need resources, you need infrastructure, you need trained workforce, people, because who makes schools? Schools principal, your good teachers, resources, and good administrator. And teachers, I was just reading, and this is our report which I was reading, which is very, we have 10,000 BEd schools, Teacher Education Institute, they call TEIs, and they are not attempting any serious education, teacher education. This is not my word. They are selling degrees for a price. This is not quote unquote. This is the NEP 2020, page number 42. They say over 10,000. This is the finding of J.S. Verma commissions, 2012, considered by Supreme Court. So this is the how higher education. So look, we need to redefine our teachers. You have to generate a supply chain of teachers. Good teacher makes a good student, and the teacher who learns, they can make. So these are the challenges we're saying. So then the critical thinking and multidisciplinary, what we are talking about, innovations, all these big words, adapting, absorbing new material, very novel and changing field, all these possible. Of course, we have been doing. It is not that not happening in Indian schools. It is happening. But it is not happening in all schools. Like this is talking about 2040, we all have. So that's the big challenge, because we have got right to education in 2009, that act, and that force. So of course, putting child into some kind of schools, this is also primary responsibility. So here the good education, what the policy defined, which is wonderful, which I say, really I will put it here. And it is, even I put every time we need to practice. It is like something, a good education, I'm going to write a paper on that. And I will try to relate. She say every student feel welcomed and cared. So there should be no bullying and then by teacher and all kind of discrimination you have to remove, and especially of the mind. I'm not talking other discrimination. The discrimination of wisdom or knowledge, and also it should be accommodate all, even those who have little knowledge. So every student feel welcomed and cared. This policy talk about. It talk about safe and stimulating learning environment for a student. Number 3, talk about wide range of learning experiences. Wonderful. That is not rotten stuff and all. You go eat a lot and vomit next day and forget that. You ask what was the book, you say, yeah, it was yellow color, it was green color, like I always say. Most of my Arabic students are, good number of them, they are also like that. So that rotten and all, and we need, like you say, infrastructure, physical and appropriate resources. Like this is very important, and then we can do. Next important issue, which is, so this is great words. How we are going to execute, these are the challenges. So this has to be, if it is ensured, I can say 50% in 10 years. Believe me, India will be, I don't know where. 50% if we execute. Forget 100%, yeah, I will know. But even if 50% of these we execute in 50% of schools, 60% of school, we achieve in coming 20 years, which we are talking about 2040. It will be great achievement, great social service. That the approach is also like, what we are talking here. Say, for example, the government want to get away from the coaching culture. This is very clearly they say. They talk about coaching. So everywhere India is like in coaching, all right? I go, I see my all nephew, niece and all, they are all busy in coaching. Am I right? So they have to do competitive examination. Many people pass like, and they are every year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. One of my niece, she was traveling, I don't know how many 100 kilometers. She was not sharing that information with me because I will not be happy. So the whole night and then go and mock exam and all these just to qualify his master course in medicine. She was doing. So, I mean, this is, we have to. So there is all these changes are possible and this theory is like, talking about. So this is great. It is most welcome. This is the great word. And teaching and faculty at the heart of learning process they found. And then they talk about recruitment of teachers. They talk about having teacher as the center of like, so their recruitment, their professional development and providing positive working environment. These are, believe me, wonderful work. Nothing is left now. As a business, as a HR consultant, if I look at, I don't find anything. Sorry. I've just put actually I wrote a paper way back when I was in Oman. I wrote for a UNESCO conference. I put education and labor market. That's why I've chosen here. I tried to connect with the McKinsey 7S framework. Those who are the business student or HR student, economics, they may be aware. McKinsey is a company and they do consulting. So the 7S framework talk about these 7S. So they talk about a strategy and a structure. So I will try to leave, okay, how a strategy is important. We already put policy a part of the strategy here. So the strategy like we have put, and then we have to create a structure and system, which we are doing. By breaking this UGC, abolishing the UGC into higher educational that body. Then there is a national level CABA body. And then we have, they are broken into 4 independent, they call it distinct and independent body. So nobody has like, so these are 4 important UGC will be broken. So they are talking about here, in fact, in your policy, the talk about NP talks about reconfiguration of the entire education system. So they are rewiring the whole education system. Huge challenge. I mean, we are talking about here, this is the history we are going to create. So there is a reconfiguration of the entire education system. It means various state, institution, all and school have to play very proactive role in this exercise. And they have to involve. And I told you this 1 week they have given to upload of this. That's why I say, because any change is accepted when it is people accept that change. So the first area is you communicate that change. Either is the educational sector or any sector. So first you communicate them, you reach out them, you listen to their perspective and you sell your ideas. Because everybody the change come. As a teacher, I say, what is in it for me? So every school teacher, every school principal, everybody, even the student will look, he will look from his own perspective. So what is in it for me? Like as an employee, you bring change and all. So we look at what is in it for me. As a teacher association, if you say no teacher association now, say for example, this is the same model, no, we will abolish teacher association like we are in Saudi Arabia, no teacher association. I'm not trying to offend like, Allahabad teacher association, they are doing great justice, great work. So, I mean, that's the forum where we collaborate, we share the information, am I right? So that is the key issue. So reconfiguration, it's say like, you have to create and involve everybody. So, and you should give facilitate. So that's saying what is in it for me, it should have been given time later as well. So you generate better partnership when you involve. And then of course, India is a huge country. So we are not talking about a state, UP or Bihar or Delhi or Tamil Nadu. I mean, we are talking about the India, huge country, 130 crores, huge. And if you look at, I mean, we are talking about involving all the central and state government. Central state government, if you look at central government, they say, yeah, they are now giving 60% of the fund. State, most of the state government, non-BJP government are cribbing. They say you increase. In other time, we used to get 90% of fund. So we are hard. Most of the, like, the state government are into fight. So earlier it was 90-10 and now it is 60-40 ratio. So there are other issues. So you can see it because it is a concurrent subject. Education is a concurrent subject. So the state has a role to play, am I right? Of course. So there is these kind of conflict has to be resolved, and it will take time. An education administrator, I say, they need parents, student themselves, teachers, and industry and business. Because what point I'm saying, talking about creating workforce, this vocational education has been being neglected, and this NEP address that. Believe me, wonderfully it addresses, because it talks about labor requirement, because our vocational education, only 5% is to workforce between 19 to 24 are coming, attending, having vocational education. Whereas if you look at the Korea, it is 94%. This I am quoting NEP. Germany, it is 75%. In US, it is 54%. So vocational education has been, we have a number of, if you look at the IITs and all technical institutions, polytechnics, and then other so we have to put it into, they have integrate this into, they are trying to integrate this into higher education institution, which is a very welcome step. And I think that will promote better, level playing field. And then especially connecting this, creating more, you can say, incubation center. They are saying to, okay, in coming 5 years, we are going to create 100 incubation systems. They also talk in this report of the, what you call, school has facilitating the learning and incubation center and all. So that is also very important and very interesting. So result oriented, and to take care of the rule oriented system we used to have. So we talk about, like I said earlier, quality control, accountability. Page 4 is talking about how you're going to ensure. So that is very key issue. This has to be seen. So time will tell. Very difficult. We have to be very proactive. We have to be very positive to deal with. So second thing, 7.2s, I talk about a strategy and a structure. So we have to restructure the whole system attuned to deliver. So we have the, like earlier lecture, Dr. Hazarika was talking about and referring about all those NCAA and those bodies, UGC bodies and other state level body, NCRT, then a state level educational research and district level research center and all. So all these, and even village level, and then even we have block level, we have in those bodies. So how they attune those, this is a very important issue. Like I say, educational administration, UNESCO itself said no education system can succeed unless the education administrator realize the need to do so. This is a UNESCO 1995 quoting. In our socio-economic political system, political and community leaders, they have to play a very important role. Most of the school run by the people who have the cloud, who have the interface good, So how are they going to play up? How they are going to really care for all these? So they have to be, we need to be proactive, facilitating wider interaction among all stakeholders, and whatever process and system we come out here, we have to simplify it. Because I have seen too many bodies coming, like talking about National Research Foundation, the earlier question. Yeah, we understand, but how we go at the school level and all. So, district level. So that is very important, and state level. So because it should not be, system should not be too cumbersome. It should not be burden for student or it's all a stakeholder and all. And it should generate the scale of competency, which really, so the curriculum itself and all become very important and all. So we are talking about multiplicity and all. We are talking about general requirement or breadth requirement as envisaged in Europe and other university in US. So you can have if I'm a science student, I can also learn I can take economics, because I can study finance as well. I can, or a economics student can also learn Java and Oracle or SAP and all that, or programming language, he can learn any. So this is very important and very welcome step. So that's the key issue here. So this system has to be very important, employment skill, which I'm talking about. And last 4 cases, McKinsey talk about styles, staff, shared values. This is the culture we are talking about. Or NEP also talk, and the skill. So this, for changing any system, like education system as a whole, we also need to work on these 4S. Very important. And it takes time to change this. Believe me, changing a culture takes time, years. And how strong it is, it takes more time and all to change people. We don't want to change anything. So unless we communicate, we see it works for me, like I say in the beginning, and the communication and all the realization, yeah, it is good for me, then we change. So styles, staff, shared value and skill. So if we desired result, connect with the industry interface to promote more employment and all. So that has to be done and created on that. So here we're talking about leadership role by educational administrator, school principals, and all those stakeholders. So leadership is very important when you talk about it. So how you deal that? More interaction, which we already talked about. Teachers, the quality of people will determine the kind of teachers you have. I talked about what kind of teachers we are churning out. So, and they say by 2030 there will be no. So I don't know, in 22, so 10 years we will allow that kind of, there is some paragraph that 1 year they will be given, and then, but we talk about 2030 to negate the existence of such schools, such BAD schools, am I right? So I don't know, but teachers are, and they talk about radical 4-year integrated BEd program for teacher as well. Developing a shared values, like I say, there is developing a culture, work culture, especially learning environment and work culture. That is very important. And here, of course, NEP talks about school qualities, assessment accreditation framework, and it should be involving all. And then talk about CRC, BRC, DIIT, and all these. We already. Last point I'm just mentioning here, including sense of oneness and commitment. What the goal of the program? So we have very fragile system in creating this. This will be a big challenge. We need money. So greater allocation of fund, because we need infrastructure and resources and all. We need the new partnership to emerge, like we talk about, like, so new work culture, new, so many things we are going to do. So we need to emergence of new partnership and all, and we need higher collaboration, closer collaboration than before between industry and higher education institution. Page 51, NEP also talk about this. But it has to be for promoting employment. I'm also quoting that. And I talk about first time employability of youth. So it is not employment. Employability means of youth means the youth having those competency so that they can employ themselves. So when we look at the skill upgradation and all, so we talk about, yeah, you can deliver the job. So that's the more important, rather than having a degree like we talk about PhDs and all. PhDs, again, I have one word to tell. PhD, they are forcing everybody to teach. They say you have to have credit course. I don't know. I mean, really, I'm amazed to read that. Wonderful. I will see that. So every PhD holder who will finish PhD, they have to develop a knack of teaching. So that means either you are research oriented or teaching. You have to be a teacher, or you have to teach, and you have to do some credit courses. That is good. I mean, but I don't know. There are many PhDs holder, they will be not interested. So nowhere it is forced in the world to force you to teach in the class. Nowhere in the world. This will be the first experiment in India. I am looking forward. Maybe after 5 years, if I get a time, I do some research and all. So I will reach out to some data and all. But that will be wonderful, providing them opportunity. But maybe some of the people, I think that should be, maybe later they can make discretionary. So not forcing all of them. That is always a system is you can choose, provide them menu, and then give them, rather than no, you have to eat either the rice or you have to idli. No, you have to give them whatever they. So those who have research oriented and all, and or those who want to prosper themselves or look for career in, say for example, in teachers, give them opportunity of PhD to teaching and all. So that's the key issue here. But there are some very interesting and very important, like I say, vocational education, because I'm forcing more on this thing. And I'm really happy to see these provisions, which is wonderful. They talk about we have though integrated our this thing. So by 2025, they look 50% of learner through schools, higher education will have vocational education. 50% by 2020. Wonderful. It will integrate. Yeah, it will get integrated into using hub and spoke system and all. So yeah, that's the great idea. The most important thing, like I say, teacher education, I will just touch upon, then implementation, I'm done. So like I talk about this Verma Commission, the teacher, like, those 10,000 teacher education and all, they have to really reform that. It's a big challenge. They need radical action. What the policy identified to raise their standard, restore integrity, credibility, efficacy, and high quality of teacher education. This is the big challenge for teachers' role, because we are looking teacher who imparts education and all. So by 2030, only sound and good teacher education shall be in force. 1 year remedy time will be given to them. The B.Ed is done in 4 years. I am coming into implementation part. I will take 2-3 minutes. Done. Implementation is very important, because any policy we are talking about, we have not seen how implementation, but what they have envisaged in this policy as implementation. So implementation part is they talk about they require there will be multiple initiative, an action which will be taken at multiple bodies and synchronizing all these efforts. So that is very challenging, not much explained, and what we will come through here is coming through NCRT and all these. So, but the most important thing is like various set of bodies which we talk about, like Ministry of HRD, CAB, which is higher apex level board, which will be the committee, and then union and state government, their body, education related ministry, all these state government, state department of educations, these are all big, and then board, all these board, educational boards and all, like every state we have, like CBSC to school education, every school has and then NTA, they talk about regulatory body and all these. So they have to have they are saying we'll have timelines and a plan for review. 2 key issues we are talking about. So they are talking here that they will come out with it, because any policies like any economic policies or any policies, education policies or health policy, very important is key performance area or key result area. So they have to identify. They are talking about here, in other words, they talk about timelines and plan for review. So they have to identify key result area, and if they share that in time to come, that will be great. Report I don't see here, maybe somewhere else, other people who are involved, they will be knowing. So this is all about what exactly I'm saying. So we have to redefine. Leadership role becomes very important between all stakeholders and all. They have to have very adaptable and flexible structure, the key issue. And the key will be coordination and collaboration between them. Communication is very important to develop trust, especially a state and what you call center, those boards and those bodies, and school as well, school principals and all, between district and all. And managing the diversity is the key issue. Like I say, we have all types of schools and all, right from I was referring a school in Bihar to a good school in Delhi, Marakhamba Road school, to my village in Bhadya, district Gaya. So there is a huge difference between these. These are on two extremes. So how we are going to deal with that, and then managing innovation and all, the policy talking a lot about IT platform and all this knowledge creation hub and all, that is wonderful. So we are very positive, we look forward, but there are some, like I say, it is initial, any policies has. So how it is being spelled out, how it is being given, because any policies gives you strategies or then procedures and system. So how it creates, time will tell, and they have started. I wish all that. And then very important, like I say, to connect it with the labor market, which I was just talking about. So strengthening and sensitizing those linkages with industry and businesses, and then vocational education, which we emphasize. So that's how we leverage all that. So if we are able to do that, then it will be a great job. But what we are aspiring to become the education system and how we look at, that will be just wonderful. So that's it. Thank you very much. I'm really, I will just end up with the Dr. Radhakrishnan quote, which is a society needs men of eminence. Dr. Radhakrishnan. So I have some connectivity to him, being a BHUite, coming from BHU. So society needs men of eminence in all branch of knowledge. So we can't say science and arts and all that, and how we take all their efforts and catapult in one directions, and which is eminence and all. So the excellence can be achieved, and then to integrate all of us, different variety and all, and taking all together. That's why I say leadership role. It's very important to come together and all, rather than, and education is the key to take society anywhere. Thank you very much. Any question? Most welcome. Thank you. I can speak in Hindi as well. कोई मसला नहीं है. मैं हिंदी में भी जवाब दे सकता हूँ. हिंदी में पूछें. But that is the डॉक्टर प्रेम प्रकाश जी, ये बिल्कुल सही आप कह रहे हैं. नकारात्मक नहीं, माने क्रिटिकल. यू हैव टू हैव गेट कीपर. सो जी जी जी.
उमेश जी, उमेश जी, मैं पूछ रहा था अतुल राय जी अगर जुड़े हो तो पहले उनको करा दीजिए. वो ऑस्ट्रेलिया में है ना.